Please don't do anything like that again, because you scared me.
Murder, betrayal and persecution await the most haunted team in Bolton. Today we will encounter a home that has witnessed both devout belief and tortuous persecution. Ghostly shadows, invisible hands, dramatic temperature changes and watchful eyes all lie in wait at Smithills Hall. With parts dating back nearly 700 years, the hall and its surrounding parkland dominate much of the northern approach into Bolton's town centre. The Grade 1 listed building is held in close affinity by locals, and rightly so, as more than one family can claim this as their ancestral home, whilst extensions and modifications in both Tudor and Victorian times saw the hall grow in both size and stature. Sold to the borough in the 1930s, it housed an elderly ladies' residential home in the 60s and 70s and now acts as a museum. The direct contrast between Smithills' noble west wing and desolate east wing was tangible to all of Most Haunted's crew as soon as we entered the hall. With peace and warmth in one half, yet chilling starkness just down the corridor, we wondered which of these moods we'd encountered tonight.
Part of the building goes back to 1335, and the three main families that are concerned with the place are the de Radcliffes, the Bartons and the Ainsworths.
These stairs have had their fair share of hauntings. Many people have reported being touched by unseen hands. Could it be the ghost of a woman wearing a 7th century dress? This is the bower room where many people have experienced a strange presence many times. Also, the smell of burning wood has been experienced.
We had some children in about a fortnight ago who saw something which nobody else has seen before, which was a little girl upstairs. And the teacher who was with them found it quite frightening, and in fact reported back to me the following day that she hadn't slept all night. So it obviously was a frightening experience for them.
It is thought that a chapel has been on this site since Saxon times, and with all the many different changes that have occurred here over the years, it's not surprising that many people consider this place as being extremely haunted. A lady in grey has been seen sitting in the front pew, and a lone figure has been seen kneeling at the altar. And many people have experienced being touched by unseen hands on many different occasions.
Probably the best ghost story of all is the story of George Marsh. He was an itinerant vicar. He was a Protestant at the time of Mary Tudor, Bloody Mary. She, of course, wanted everyone to go back to the Catholic faith. George Marsh was tried here and sentenced as a heretic. And of course, the sentence in those days for heresy was to be burnt alive at the stake.
Other people have experienced things in the hall as well, particularly, for example, somebody who looks a little bit like George Marsh in a number of places, in the chapel, in the shop area, on the stairs. Some people have experienced doors closing unexpectedly, ropes swinging in the library, shuffling footsteps down the corridor, and most of these people have been people who were not expecting to experience them.
George Marsh was taken downstairs, and as he got to the bottom of the staircase, he stamped his foot on the flagstone floor and said that his footprint would remain there as an eternal reminder of his martyrdom. And to this very day, there is an imprint of his foot still on the flagstone floor. In the 1870s, obviously a different family, the Ainsworth family were here then. They had the slab removed from the house. They actually took it out here and left it in the grounds. A phenomenal amount of poltergeist activity started taking place inside the house. And so eventually they brought the stone back, replaced it in the same spot, and guess what? All the paranormal activity stopped.
Here in the George Marsh room, many people have seen the figure of a tall, dark man floating across the floor. Sudden and extreme temperature drops occur here, and many people, when they enter this room, feel ill at ease. But why? We have 24 hours to find out.
George Marsh's is a tale that may or may not hold truth, and parapsychologist Kieran O'Keefe certainly has his views on this Smithills story.
I think the footprint is a fabulous story, but clearly it's impossible to actually make a footprint merely by stepping onto the stone or even standing with a great force. You just couldn't do it. However, it creates kind of a great urban myth, if you will, and when there are visitors to this particular location, it kind of enters their psyche, even if they're not moved by the story or even believe in the story, because of where the footprint is, because of the protection that's around it, it immediately enters their psyche and they're thinking about it wherever they go in the location, and it will have an effect on the experiences that they have. Another area that I'm particularly interested in is the chapel. There have been quite a few different